The laughter wasn't the friendly kind. It was sharp, jagged, like glass dragging across Emily Carter's nerves. And it was coming closer. Emily had always been the quiet one. She wasn't invisible, at least, not enough to escape notice, but she tried to be. The best defense, she'd learned in her 16 years, was to keep your head down and let the storm pass. That afternoon, the art room was supposed to be her sanctuary. The last period of the day had ended, the halls were noisy with kids rushing out the doors, and she stayed behind to finish her semester project, a charcoal drawing of a sprawling oak tree. She was good with detail, every leaf had shape, every branch had movement. It was the only place she felt in control. Mrs. Albright, the art teacher, had stepped out to grab something from the office. Emily didn't think much of it, until she heard the door open again, followed by the voices she dreaded. Well, look who's here. Madison Fields, with her perfect curls, perfect clothes, perfect smirk. She walked like she owned the floor, trailed by Brittany and Kara, her shadows, her audience. Emily's stomach tightened. She kept her eyes on her paper, willing herself to fade into the background. What are you working on, ghost girl? Madison's voice was sickly sweet, the kind you'd give a toddler before taking their toy. She leaned over Emily's shoulder and snatched the sketch from the desk before Emily could react. Wow, a tree. How original. Brittany laughed. It's so boring. I mean, trees? Who cares? Kara added, maybe that's why she's always alone, she's busy drawing plants. Emily's jaw clenched, but she said nothing. Talking back would only make it worse. She'd learned that lesson the hard way in 7th grade when a sarcastic reply earned her an entire week of accidental spills on her clothes. But Madison wasn't looking for a conversation, she was looking for entertainment. Her gaze flicked to the supply table where rolls of twine sat for hanging art displays. A slow smile crept across her face. You know what? I think we can improve your look. You're too plain. Let's fix that. Before Emily could stand, Brittany shoved her back into the rolling chair. Kara grabbed the twine, looping it around Emily's wrists and torso, pulling it tight until she was pinned. The rope bit into her sweater, the fibers scraping her skin. Hold still, shy girl, Madison teased. She plucked a fat black permanent marker from the caddy. We're gonna make you beautiful. They started with her cheeks, thick black lines like cartoon whiskers. Then across her forehead, Madison scrawled the word mute in capital letters. Kara added red hearts on her hands, each one deliberately crooked. Brittany drew a jagged mustache above her lip. Every stroke of the marker was followed by laughter, sharp, mean, and echoing in the quiet room. Emily's chest tightened, her eyes stung, but she bit the inside of her cheek. She would not cry. Crying was fuel to them. When they finished, Madison spun the chair toward the tall supply cabinet that doubled as a mirror. Ta-da! Look at our masterpiece. Jess, no, Kara, pulled out her phone and started snapping pictures. This is so going online. Everyone's gonna see this. The words hit Emily harder than the rope. Online meant it would live forever. Her face, her humiliation, for the entire school, and maybe strangers, to see. Her heart pounded. Her palms were slick. Her breathing turned shallow. She knew what was coming next. They'd leave, laughing, and she'd sit here helpless until someone else found her. And then the pictures would spread. And then something in her shifted. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was a quiet, solid enough. Emily twisted her right wrist hard. The twine scraped her skin raw, but it loosened, just enough. She yanked again, harder. The rope gave way, and her hand came free. Madison was still laughing when Emily shot to her feet. Without thinking, she grabbed the red marker from the desk. Madison stepped back. "Whoa, what are you?" Emily didn't answer. She stepped forward, steady, deliberate, and drew a thick crimson line down Madison's perfect cheek, right over her expensive makeup. "You wanted art," Emily said, her voice low but unshaking. "Now you've got it." Brittany's eyes widened. Kara lowered her phone. No one moved. Emily dropped the marker onto the desk, the sound sharp in the silence. She untangled the rest of the twine, tossed it aside, and picked up her sketchbook. Without a backward glance, she walked to the sink and began scrubbing her skin. The ink didn't come off completely, but it didn't matter. The next morning, whispers followed her through the halls, not mocking ones, but curious. Madison and her friends avoided her gaze. The photos never appeared online. Over the next few weeks, something else changed. People who'd never spoken to her before started nodding in the hall. A few even sat near her at lunch. She didn't suddenly become outgoing, but she didn't shrink either. When she finished her drawing of the oak tree, she added more. The roots dug deeper into the soil, the branches stretched farther, stronger. She signed her name at the bottom in bold, dark ink. Because she had learned something worth remembering. Being quiet doesn't mean being weak. And if someone tries to mark you, you can mark them back, on your terms. The bell had rung almost 10 minutes ago, but the art room still hummed with the soft sound of charcoal against paper. Emily Carter sat alone at the back table, her head bent low, strands of chestnut hair falling into her face as she shaded the roots of an oak tree. Every leaf, every branch was deliberate. She'd been working on this drawing for weeks, each detail almost obsessive. The tree wasn't just an assignment. It was her. The roots dug deep, hidden, unseen, but strong. The branches reached outward. Quietly ambitious, even if no one noticed. Emily was 16, but she often felt much older. Not in a wise, world-traveled way, more like someone who had carried too much weight for too long. She had learned early on that her silence made her a target. In middle school, a group of boys had once taped a mute button sign to her back and pushed it every time she passed. The teachers called it harmless teasing. Emily called it another reason to disappear. The art room was her escape. The rest of the school was chaos, slammed lockers, overlapping voices, the endless noise of people who seemed so sure of themselves. Here, it was different. It smelled like paper and paint and possibility. Mrs. Albright, the art teacher, had stepped out, just for a minute, to speak with the teacher next door. Emily barely noticed, she was too focused on blending the shadows of the oak's branches. That's when she heard it. The sound that made her pulse quicken before she even looked up. Laughter. Not the warm kind. The sharp kind. Well, look who's here. Emily's stomach tightened. She didn't have to look to know. Madison Fields had arrived. Madison was everything Emily wasn't, tall, loud, magnetic. Her hair always perfect, her nails always glossy, her clothes expensive but styled like she'd just thrown them on. She wasn't just popular, she was untouchable. When Madison decided something was cool, it was law. When Madison decided someone was weird, well, Emily knew how that felt. Behind her were Brittany and Kara, Madison's shadows. They laughed when she laughed, frowned when she frowned, and made sure no one ever questioned her throne. Emily kept her eyes down, focusing on the page. Don't engage. Don't feed the fire. What's this? Madison's voice dripped with fake sweetness. She didn't wait for an answer. She snatched the sketch from Emily's desk. Oh, a tree. Wow. How deep? Brittany giggled. Is this what you do all the time? No wonder you don't talk to anyone. Kara chimed in, it's like, sad Pinterest art. Emily felt her cheeks heat, but she said nothing. Come on, say something, Madison taunted. Oh wait, you can't, right? You're, like, allergic to words. She laughed, tossing the sketchbook onto another table. That's when Madison spotted the twine, thick rolls used to hang student projects. Her eyes lit up with an idea. You know what? She said slowly, almost to herself. Let's give her a makeover. Before Emily could react, Brittany yanked her chair away from the table. Kara grabbed her wrists, looping the twine around them. Madison pushed her shoulders back into the chair and wrapped the rope around her torso. The fibers bit into her sweater, scratching her skin. Stop! Emily's voice cracked, but it came out small. Too small. Hold still, Madison mocked. She plucked a fat black permanent marker from the supply bin. We're gonna make some real art. They started with her cheeks. Black lines like cartoon whiskers. Then her forehead, big block letters, mute. Brittany drew an uneven mustache above her lip. Kara added bright red hearts on her hands, each one deliberately lopsided. Each stroke was followed by laughter, sharp, piercing, echoing in the quiet. Emily stared at the floor, willing herself not to cry. Tears were gasoline to them. When they were satisfied, Madison spun the chair toward the tall cabinet mirror. Ta-da! Look at our masterpiece. Kara raised her phone and started taking pictures. This is going online. Everyone's gonna love it. The words made Emily's chest ache in a way that was almost physical. She could already picture it, her face, ink-covered, floating across group chats, Instagram stories, maybe even TikTok. Strangers laughing at her. Friends of friends tagging her name. She felt something tighten inside her, not fear, not shame. It was something harder. A simple, solid enough. Emily twisted her right wrist sharply. The rope scraped her skin raw, but she felt the slack. She yanked harder. Her hand came free. Madison didn't notice until Emily stood up, fast, steady, silent. Emily didn't scream. Didn't shove. Didn't cry. She picked up the red marker from the desk and stepped forward until she was inches from Madison. Madison's smirk faltered. What are you? Emily pressed the marker to Madison's cheek and drew a thick crimson streak across her perfect makeup. You wanted art, Emily said, her voice low but certain. Now you've got it. The room went still. Brittany froze. Kara lowered her phone. Madison's jaw tightened, but she didn't say a word. Emily dropped the marker on the table with a sharp clack, untangled the rest of the rope, and picked up her sketchbook. She walked to the sink and turned on the water. The ink on her skin didn't wash off completely, but she didn't care. The next day, whispers followed her down the hall, but they were different. Curious. Respectful, even. The bullies didn't come near her. And the pictures? They never appeared online. Weeks later, Emily finished her drawing of the oak tree. She added more branches, thicker, stronger, reaching higher. She deepened the roots. Then, for the first time, she signed her name at the bottom in bold, dark ink. Because she'd learned the most important truth. Being quiet isn't weakness. And if someone tries to mark you, you can mark them back.